How is anyone supposed to turn their key to position 2 when their car doesn't have a key at all? That question sits underneath almost every piece of car reset advice online, because nearly all of it was written for a car with an ignition cylinder. Push-button cars are left out of that advice entirely, and the confusion that creates has real consequences. It sends people to dealerships for things that were never actually broken, and it lets some genuinely useful information get buried under advice that's outdated or simply wrong. The reason this confusion exists comes down to how push-button ignition actually works. A traditional key has 4 positions: off, accessory, on, and start. A push-button system reaches those same electrical states, but through repeated presses of a button instead of a turn of a wrist, and with the brake pedal doing the job the key's final twist used to do. Press the button with a foot off the brake, and the system moves through accessory mode, then on or ignition mode, then back to off. Accessory brings radio and power outlets to life. On brings every electronic system and warning light with it, while the engine stays silent, and pressing with the brake depressed is what actually starts the car. Toyota documents this exact behavior in its own support materials, and Mazda's owner's manual adds a detail worth knowing. Accessory mode shuts itself off automatically after 25 minutes if the transmission is left in park, a fail-safe against a battery being drained by accident. Subaru's documentation describes the identical pattern. On hybrids, this translation goes one step further. There's no idling state at all. What used to mean the engine running now means the dashboard displaying ready, and the gas engine cycling on and off in that state is completely normal rather than a warning sign. Once that mapping is understood, a handful of resets that are genuinely free and low risk open up. Oil life reminders can be cleared through the dash controls on most models. Honda and Acura follow a fairly consistent method across their lineup, while Toyota and Lexus vary more from model to model, generally built around the trip meter and its reset button. None of this replaces an actual oil change. It only clears the reminder that one is due, which matters because resetting it without doing the service just erases the warning without solving anything. Tire pressure monitoring resets split more by model year than by brand. Older Toyota and Lexus vehicles use a physical button paired with inflating every tire to its placard pressure, while newer models across Toyota, Lexus, Honda, and Acura move this into the infotainment system entirely. Honda's newer approach is worth calling out specifically because it doesn't store individual sensor identities the way older systems do. It calibrates by comparing how fast each tire is rotating relative to the others, which is a fundamentally different method than what most owners assume is happening. None of these menu-based resets help if the sensors themselves were replaced or the wheels were swapped. That situation needs a dedicated relearn tool regardless of brand. Power windows and sunroofs lose their automatic one-touch function after almost any power interruption, and both relearn through a deliberate full-cycle motion at the switch rather than anything hidden in a menu. And radio lockouts are their own quirk, mostly affecting Honda and Acura models built before the mid-2010s. These systems protect themselves with a code tied to the vehicle, recoverable from an owner's manual card or through a dealer using the VIN and radio serial number. Newer Hondas mostly skip this altogether, re-authenticating automatically after a short drive, and most Toyota systems from the past several years are linked to an account and restore themselves without asking for anything at all. Idle relearn is where the online advice starts to genuinely diverge by manufacturer, and where following the wrong version costs real time and money. The underlying problem it solves, a rough idle, a surge, or an occasional near stall, usually follows a battery disconnect or a throttle body cleaning, and every manufacturer handles the fix differently. Nissan and Infiniti are unusual in that they publish an actual manual method requiring no scan tool, built around a specific pedal sequence that has to happen within tight timing windows and under strict conditions, including a battery holding a healthy charge, the coolant in a particular temperature range, no accessories running, and the wheels pointed straight. Most people who try this and fail aren't doing the pedal motion wrong. They're skipping one of those preconditions without realizing it matters. Toyota and Lexus split by engine generation in a way that trips people up constantly. Older electronic throttle engines, roughly spanning the mid-2000s through the mid-2010s, generally do relearn idle through a battery disconnect and a period of driving afterward. But the newest dynamic force engines, found in RAV4 vehicles, Camrys, and similar models from 2019 onward, don't respond to that method at all. Toyota's own repair documentation states outright that these engines' learned values can only be reset with a professional scan tool called Techstream. Someone who tries the older method on one of these newer engines, watches it do nothing, and assumes their car is broken, hasn't actually done anything wrong. They've just run into a car that was never built to respond that way. Honda, Acura, Subaru, Mazda, and Mitsubishi don't have any documented owner-facing procedure for this at all. On these, idle relearn happens quietly through ordinary driving once the engine reaches operating temperature. That split between engines is really the key to understanding one of the most repeated pieces of advice in this space, that disconnecting the battery resets everything. It doesn't. A disconnect does clear adaptive fuel trims, stored diagnostic codes, radio presets, and the clock, and it does temporarily disrupt learned idle values on older engines while disabling window and sunroof auto function until each is relearned. It can also affect steering angle data and tire pressure learning. But on those newest Toyota engines, it changes nothing about the engine's learned values. The exact same documentation that describes the Techstream requirement confirms that directly. One piece of advice that shows up constantly and deserves to be set aside is the idea of touching the disconnected battery cables together. It isn't necessary for any of this, and describing it in detail mostly just raises the risk of a short circuit for no benefit. Steering angle calibration sits entirely outside what any battery disconnect or driveway method can accomplish on a modern Japanese vehicle. That system feeds stability control, lane keep assist, and pre-collision systems, and correcting it requires a scan tool. A steering warning light after a disconnect doesn't mean anything broke. It means that calibration is waiting on a tool, not a trick. CVT adaptive relearn is genuinely unresolved territory rather than something with a clean answer. A simple fluid change never requires it. Only valve bodywork or major component replacement does. And while Nissan and Subaru both have an official scan tool path for it, the alternative that circulates online, a battery disconnect followed by a gentle drive, gets mixed reports, with some owners saying it resolves things completely and others saying a shudder lingers no matter what. That's a real disagreement between the official method and what circulates informally, not something with a tidy resolution. Memory savers occupy similar middle ground. They are useful for preserving settings during a swap, but limited by the current a vehicle draws even with the key off, and there are documented cases where the connection simply failed partway through and everything was lost anyway. Hybrids raise the stakes on all of this because the same battery disconnect that's routine on a conventional car can trigger a much longer chain of consequences once Toyota Safety Sense enters the picture. The distinction that matters above everything else is which battery is even being discussed. The small 12-volt battery under the hood or in the trunk is the only component an owner should ever touch, while the high-voltage battery, identifiable by its orange cabling and dedicated service plug, is never something an owner disconnects or services under any circumstance. That's not a suggestion, it's a hard line. Toyota's documentation lays out a specific maintenance approach for a weak 12-volt battery, roughly an hour a week spent in ready mode for routine upkeep, 4 to 8 hours for one that's gone fully flat, confirmed with a multimeter reading around 12.8 volts when a proper charging station isn't available. A hybrid should never be push-started, and its 12-volt system was never designed to jump another vehicle. The most involved case by far is a Toyota Safety Sense hybrid, Prius RAV4 hybrid, Camry hybrid, and similar models, where Toyota's repair documentation requires a full reinitialization after any 12-volt disconnect. Steering sensor zero-point calibration, which affects lane control, parking support braking, and pre-collision systems if it's skipped, along with resetting the back door's close position and lock initialization. Toyota even specifies waiting before disconnecting in the first place. 6 minutes for vehicles with N-Tune or Safety Connect, 1 minute otherwise, because the car needs that time to finish saving its own settings. What used to be a 10-minute battery swap on an older Camry can turn into something closer to a service appointment on a newer hybrid, and that difference is almost entirely invisible until someone runs into it. Between what's genuinely free and safe, what needs a professional tool, no matter what anyone online says, and the myths that don't survive contact with a manufacturer's own documentation, that's the real shape of push-button reset systems across these brands. Drop your model, year, and mileage in the comments. It helps other owners figure out exactly what applies to their car, and subscribe for more practical guidance that actually holds up to scrutiny.